Welcome back, all you armchair sailors out there, to another episode of SVEV. It's a cold winter's day here on Evie, and today I'm going to be telling you the story about when I crashed this yacht into a reef doing 5 nautical miles per hour. And we're going to do something similar to last week where we do a virtual sail, and I'll show you exactly how I got myself into that situation. So let's get into it. Alright guys, let's get into it. So, the story when I crashed my boat into a reef doing 5 knots. So, I'd left Toronto, and that's episode 1 actually. SVEV episode 1. I gone all the way over to Brighton. And at the end of episode 1, we were like moored up here. This is the Murray Canal. Okay? And just to put this into context, what I'm going to do, that's Lake Ontario. I'm going to flip everything upside down. So there is a canal. The Murray Canal actually goes all the way from here in Georgian Bay, all the way down through these lakes here. And it comes out in Belleville here, right here. Okay? So this is considered a contiguous passage. So basically, what that means is that the starboard and port markers will be reversed. So it's a little bit confusing, but that's just the way they do it here in Canada and most places around the world. See, so when you're heading, usually it's red right returning, but it's the opposite if you're going up the canal. So it's a little confusing. So we decided to take the inside passage here and went through Belleville. That's, I think, episode 2 and 3. Went on down to Picton. And the whole time, these markers were reversed. So I got used to it. It was like a good week or two even. So I got totally used to the idea of the port and starboard channel markers being reversed. So came out. Went all the way up here between Amherst Island into Kingston, and that's how I sailed up the St. Lawrence River episode. I was parked in Navy Bay here. That's when the RCMP aborted my boat and asked me questions. It was during the lockdown, that sort of thing. What are you doing? Are you from the States? Asked me questions. And then the next video is sailing up the St. Lawrence River. You can check that out. I'll put a link to it up on the top right there. Anyway, as I was coming up here, now this is the first time I would encounter a channel marker, with exception to me going into Kingston there. So I was still in the reversed mode of port and starboard being reversed. Now, if you zoom in right here, you can see this channel marker here. This is green. And I'm going to show you the video in a minute. I was doing time lapse when the incident happened. And I didn't bust out my GoPro just because I was ashamed and embarrassed and scared that the boat was going to sink. So I was coming all the way up here, and I saw the green marker, and I kept it to my right. Now, this is a big amount of space here, and I couldn't see this reef. It was midday. The sun was high, so I couldn't see anything. So I was cruising on up, and I actually had my camera out, and I was getting shots and the whole deal. And that's when, smashed right into the reef right here. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? So all of a sudden the boat was stopped. There was a loud crashing noise, and the boat lunged forward, and I fell over. All the camera equipment smashed on the deck. And you'll see that in a second here. And I got... right immediately I got in my dinghy and was trying to free myself. I slammed the engine in reverse and forward, and I wasn't going anywhere. The boat was just kind of twirling around, stuck on the bottom of the rocks. So, of course, I was scared there was damage, so I hopped in, had a look, and there was no damage. I couldn't even see a dent in where it hit the rocks in the keel. It was like, oh, thank God. So anyway, while I was stuck here, another boat came around, and I'll show you that in the video in a second. And he saw me stuck and wanted to help, and he ended up getting stuck as well. Of course, he had no dinghy with an engine. So at one point, I went over to him. I was like, hey, you guys got an extra dinghy? You can help me out? And he's like, why don't you pilot your engine, and I'll pilot your dinghy. And eventually, boom, I got out of it, and we continued on. And this time I went to the port side of this starboard marker, this part of the thing here, and it is a rookie mistake. And you know, just like Brian from SVEV says, you know, at one point everybody runs aground. It's just something that happens, and this was my first time running aground. So now let's go check out the video images. Okay, so here's the only clip I have. It was running a time-lapse camera at the time. Let's see if you can see where I hit the reef doing 5 knots. Good God. All right, so here's the clip in slow motion, and if you actually look to the right, you can see when the boat hits and it lunges forward, and it made a god-awful, right there. It made a god-awful, right there, boom. Made a god-awful noise, and I was scared. I was like, Jesus, what have I done? I was thinking, oh my God, there's probably a huge hole in the boat. So I hopped in the dinghy and started trying to get myself off the rocks here. I went to the port side, went over to the starboard side. The boat was kind of just spinning around on the keel, stuck against the rocks. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get stuck. If you look at the top here, there's a boat there. You can see where he ran aground, right about there. And I guess the guy thought I was in distress, so he, you know, went over to anchor or something and to see what's up. And so I took the dinghy over to his boat and said, hey, you got another dinghy? You can help me move off the reef here, or you can pull me off. And he was like, no, my dinghy doesn't have an engine. So he hopped in my dinghy, and I went behind the helm of my boat and put her in reverse, put her in forward, and eventually she came off the reef. And I was very glad. And, you know, that was the first time that I ran aground. It was a rookie mistake. I should have been paying attention to the charts. It was the only time I didn't check my charts. Like, literally, I was just kind of spaced out. And I'll never make that mistake again. And hopefully you guys won't either. Well, I hope you found that video interesting. Please remember to like and subscribe below, and we'll see you next week for your weekly dose of sailboat content. Thanks for watching.